I'm your host. My name's Denise. I'm VP Marketing at Gelato. I'm dialing in from relatively sunny Berlin. And I'm joined today by one of my dear colleagues, Sven, who is our VP of Acquisition, but also store owner of myprintsgallery.com, a successful online store for wall art. And you're dialing in from somewhere near Oslo, right?
Near Oslo, yeah. Hi, everyone. Good to be here.
I purposefully didn't try to even spell or say the name, but if I would love to hear where you guys are dialing in from. So please use the chat function and let us know. We had Gambia, so I feel like that's the one to beat. But Gambia I've actually been to, so maybe someone else can try. Been to Izmir as well. Wonderful. You're hopefully definitely having better weather, as you are in Florida, I think. Wow. Very envious of you guys. Okay, Knut. So you and I are aligned on Berlin and maybe hay fever as well, because it's a real thing. But for those of you in the warmer countries, in Berlin and Oslo, we had snow yesterday still. So it's been a long time coming. There you go. A couple of other Norwegians. All right. So with two past, let's get things kicked off. So hi, everyone, and welcome to our webinar on insider strategies to maximize your store growth. In today's session, Sven's going to walk us through the key strategies that got him to scale his business, which he's running, as maybe some of you joining us are, as a side hustle while maintaining a full-time job here at Gelato, being a parent, and I think also running a farm, which maybe not that many of us are. And granted, your job is in the print-on-demand industry, but that really doesn't negate the amount of hours needed to invest to build an e-commerce store. So I'm really looking forward to your tips and perspective on the smart choices to make. And as I still haven't made it past my first sample order, I'll be taking notes for myself also. Of course, I've got some fun housekeeping topics before we dive in. So the session is going to run 30 minutes. We have time for Q&A at the end. It's been recorded, as you would have seen, hopefully when you dialed in. Feel free to use the chat function for general comments like we just did. And you can use the Q&A function for specific questions that you'd like answered at the end of the webinar from us. No need to take notes unless you want to. We're going to provide recordings after the event via email, and we're also going to host it on gelato.com. Okay, so to get things kicked off and get you in the mood, let's start with a quick audience poll. So we'd love to know how many of you currently have your own online store and also what platform or marketplace you're currently using. So start poll, seamless. And we'll give you 30 seconds. All right. I didn't count in my head, but I feel like that should hopefully be enough time. Okay, great. So 65% are on Shopify. And most of you have got a store. Fabulous. I mean, and obviously the clue was in the title of the webinar. A lot of the things that we're going to talk about today are Shopify related, because that's where my Prince Gallery and Sven store are also located. But a lot of them will also be applicable for other platforms. So you've come to the right place. So Sven, let's get kicked off. Tell us a little bit about your store and actually why you started that journey, not that you needed another project.
Yeah, thanks, Denise. So hi, everyone. It's actually funny because I'm a big admirer of Shopify as a platform. So one of the reasons that I started this store at all was I just wanted to get to learn the ins and outs of the Shopify platform. I wanted to build my own store from scratch and learn the nitty-gritty around what makes an online store fly. So it's more of a personal interest of mine. I'm not a designer. I'm not an artist. My background is finance. So I also needed to find designs to sell in my store since I don't create myself. And that obviously took me to the classical artists. Big fan of going to museums, looking at all the classic painters. So I figured this is a great segue into the print-on-demand world and launching my own store, readily available designs. So yeah, that's how I got started. And what I really love about this is that it's never really finished, right? You can never really finish a Shopify store or an Etsy store or whatever platform you're using. It's an ongoing journey. There's always new things to launch, new apps, things to tweak. So really, it's fun to do. I think it's really fun to do. In addition to it being a side hustle and a side income, it's just a lot of fun. I think you're on mute, Denise.
I am sorry. I didn't want to make sure I didn't interrupt you, which, can sometimes be the case. Becoming a successful POD seller, though, is no mean feat. So I think, it's fun, but there's obviously a lot of grit that is behind it. And there's a lot of different levers to consider, especially if you're starting out. And if you haven't already, check out our latest webinar on social media advertising, which is definitely a bit more of a deep dive into one of those levers. But for the purpose of today, can you walk us through the most effective topics to focus on to get your store to grow?
Yeah, so first of all, I just say that there's no single silver bullet, creating a high selling store overnight. That's very seldom happens. So I would first of all say expect it to take some time, and also be aware that details matter. So spend some time on the details. Spend time on. Oftentimes you're like, should I spend time on this or should I not? Spend some time on the detail. Really go in depth and learn, because it won't happen overnight. It's perseverance that matters. Now, the four areas that I'd highlight, which are fundamental, I think, to any store. Not that it's an exhaustive list. Are product and market selection, and number 2, pricing of your products, customer service, and then finally marketing. And all of those are, I think, very important to any new store owner or existing store owner.
Okay, so let's start with the first in product and market selection. The majority of your business is in wall-art. Why did you choose prints in particular? And then how and when did you tackle product expansion?
Yes, so I think we can bucket this into sort of 3 elements. So first of all, you've got the physical product, right? Which we're looking at here at the screen. Posters, calendars for my part, which came naturally once I chose to sell paintings of classical artists or content of classical artists. Posters is the first, obvious choice. So I think that's the main reason. And the second element is it's then, the designs, right? So the physical product, the poster, the designs, what are you going to put on the poster? And then the third element is more of the experience. So the fun of the Shopify store, the digital products, if you will. So what I would say is that there's customers are purchasing your designs, right? So the detail of the design really matters. Both the design itself, but also how you actually display it in your store, which relates to the mockups. This goes to the conversion rate of your store and the effectiveness of your funnel from the customer landing on your page, clicking on towards the basket, towards the checkouts. Anyone who's been shopping online, which is all of us, know that what you see triggers whether you want to buy it or not. So don't underestimate the details of the design of your products, and also don't underestimate the mockups, i.e., in this case, what we're seeing here, how it looks on your wall or on your counter, or in the case of t-shirts on a human being, right? And finally, I would say when it comes to product expansion, well, before I'm moving into product expansion, I'd also mention Shopify specifically the theme selection. So all of you who've been running a Shopify store know that the theme is very important. And I spent quite some time selecting my theme. I think that it's never too late to change your theme. Of course, you want to select the right theme from the get-go, but if you find that your theme doesn't have the functionalities that you'd like it to have, in terms of, for example, cross-sell and upsell, sliders in the cart, bars in terms of getting free shipping, revisit and think again whether you should change your theme, because it's ultimately the conversion rate of your store that will make or break whether you fly or not, so to speak. So that's the final part of the product selection. When it comes to product expansion, I basically look to the products that we're selling the most. So the 80-20 rule, right? So I had 20% of my products that generated more than 80% of the revenue in my store. So then I select those designs that sell the most, and then I go and create new products out of them, phone cases, apparel, because I know that customers will be interested in those designs. And then finally, also, I would say quantity matters also, right? So quality we've spoken about, quantity also matters, because when you come to an online store, if you see 5 products on the product selection page or the product list page, you don't really treat it as a serious store. So I would say there's a minimum critical mass of products that you need to have in your store in order for it to expect it to convert well.
And is there a number there that you have in mind? So yes, obviously, if you get to a page and there's 5 products, you'll probably, wonder if it's a real one or not. But is there kind of a tipping point to which you would say, okay, it's X amount?
I launched my store when I had, I think, 70 designs. Now I have around 400. So again, it's not like you need to spend 2 months creating designs, but you have to have a certain number. So I don't have one design fits all answer to that, but definitely worth the 100. I would recommend.
Okay. Be interested to hear. We haven't got a poll on this, but just for the ones that have a store where you're currently at on number of products, just for personal interest and maybe a discussion later. You're based in Norway, as we've found out, although still haven't pronounced the exact location right. But you mainly sell in the UK. Why did you choose to focus there instead of your home market?
Yeah, so good question. Simply put, because it's 10 to 12 times bigger than Norway. So I wanted to sell in a market which has high demand, high volume. Of course, Norway only has 4 or 5 million people, UK 60 plus million. So it was part of my desire to sell in a market which really has high traffic volumes, natural traffic volumes. And then I think, Gelato, this is perfectly set for that kind of business, because Gelato prints in the UK and locally with multiple printing facilities. So there is no real difference from a customer perspective. You'll feel as if I sit in the UK and sit next door basically as a seller. So it's not like you feel as a customer that I'm sitting in Norway. So yeah.
Sounds like a shameless plug, but indeed, I think obviously one of the massive advantages of the global network we have, and the benefits that local production brings.
Yeah.
Let's move on to pricing, which can be a super tricky and sometimes, or at least for the likes of me, even anxiety-inducing topic. Whether you're starting out or you're obviously trying to optimize your pricing, especially when you look at the global economic climate, and recessions, changes in market dynamics. How did you decide what prices to set for your products? It must be super difficult, especially when you have, if you said whatever 100x products and lots of variants and combinations.
So I mentioned in the beginning, my background is finance and not design. So pricing is a favorite topic of mine. I just spent 2 hours talking about this. I'll try to keep it to 2 minutes. But I think the key takeaway here is you need to spend time on your pricing. Be mindful. Pricing matters, right? I see many times store owners, they set prices, set and forget prices. And determining prices matters, because what prices you set determine your bottom line, determine your profits. And the profit, you can either put it in the bank, nice, or you can invest it into further growth. You can invest it into marketing. So basically, there's sort of pricing for volume versus putting a price premium on your products. I typically see that store owners and stores price too low. That's like too conservative around what they're sort of allowed to charge, right? Especially if they have unique content. If you're a designer, if you're an artist, if you have created something unique, and don't be afraid, have the confidence to charge for it. Because each extra dollar or euro or whatever currency you have in your store matters a lot. like you have one store with a t-shirt that costs 25 euros, you have the second store, t-shirt costs 29 euros. Those €4 difference is pure profits. And those €4 allow you to spend €4 more to acquire the next customer.
And did you do any? Oh, sorry to interrupt you, but did you do any benchmarking when you first started out, or I guess how did you do your research?
But definitely benchmarking to sort of find where the market is roughly, because of course you cannot, there's balance to the pricing. So there was market research, and then also, of course, I have background in the printing industry, so I had a feeling for this. But the good news is also that, as you know, that there's functionality in the works that will be released fairly soon on the Gelato platform, which will allow our merchants to price very sophisticated, to print on demand products and price them right, which is something Shopify does really do well themselves.
Yes, I mean, having worked on this on the tool to really take the pain out of pricing, even for the likes of me that are not so comfortable with the topic as you are. I can't wait to see it come to market in full this year. If any of you are Gelato customers and you haven't signed up to the beta version, then definitely make sure you do. So that was my shameless plug. Thank you for that, Sven. Let's move on to customer service. For a lot of people, it's the first time dealing with customers instead of obviously being one ourselves. So I think it can sometimes be, a little bit of a shock to be on the receiving end of feedback. But of course, it's one of the most important aspects of managing your business and securing growth. As we all know, the power of a bad review or rating, having given them on occasions, both bad and good. So would love to hear from the group. We'll do another little poll of how many of you are currently using customer reviews or testimonials in your store. We have the little poll. Thank you. We'll probably only need 20 seconds for that one, as it's a single choice question. Oh, okay. So roughly half. Interesting. So I think, Sven, I vaguely know the points you're going to cover. It feels like some of you are missing out on that. So maybe let's take a bit of extra time to talk through your tips on the subject.
Sure thing. So when it comes to customer service, I guess social proof is what reviews is really about, right? So again, going back to world online shoppers, we all shop online frequently. When you come to a store that you've never been at before, you try to find proof points for that this is a credible store, high quality, trustworthy, etc. And you want to have a third party view of that. So you want to see others who have had pleasant experiences buying at that store. Which is why when launching the store, or when you're in the early innings of your store, focusing on generating customer reviews is fundamental. And it has a value, right? You should be willing to spend some to get reviews also. So yes, to sell, but also to get reviews. There's many apps in the Shopify App Store. Lux, personally I'm using Lux. You've got Judge Me. But I would say you should be looking at you should definitely install one of the apps, and you should be looking at generating, let's say 10 to 20%, or at least 10% of your orders should generate a review. So again, 10 orders, 1 review, 100 orders, 10 reviews at least. Ideally more. And there's things you can do with these apps to drive review volume. So how do you send the emails to your customers? At what point after they've received their package did they receive the email asking for a review? How do you incentivize them to give a review? So again, I'm giving my customers sort of €5 vouchers to give a review. If they give an image review, which is possible in Lux, you can take a picture of the wall art and add it to your review and submit it, they get a 10 euro voucher. So again, I'm very, very obsessed over getting reviews, and it also feels really good to get a notification in your email inbox when a customer really submits a 5-star review. So it's also a motivational boost. And then finally, I guess in customer service, I view it as a competitive advantage to be good at customer service, meaning be quick and agile when you receive a customer query or complaints, right? It's really about giving them a feeling that you're not, one of those big players who comes back after 48 hours or 3 days with an answer. Give them a personal reply, not a templated reply, and make them feel special, right? Because you want them to remember your product once they receive it, and remember your design when it hangs on the wall, or whether it's a t-shirt or a mug or whatever product it is. But you also want them to remember the experience they had when they interacted with you, and remember the service that you offer to them. That sticks in their minds too. So don't underestimate that. And that's especially true when you're not, as you said, Denise, when you're not used to their customer service. It's not obvious, right? That you should be quick, that you should always, customer is king. It's a bit of a, but it's true, because you don't want that 1-star review. If you early on get a 1-star review, you need so many 5-star reviews to kind of get back up on the horse. So be generous, especially in the beginning, and learn also from the customers, right? And also you can win sales by responding quickly, right? So there'll be customers asking you for, can you create this design? I don't see this design in your store. Can you create it? You shouldn't take the luxury of saying, sorry, I haven't added it. You should create it and add it in the evening and write them a reply. Just add it to your basket, and here's a 5 euro voucher to complete your purchase, and you have a new customer.
And I think it always helps to just kind of think of yourself, right? I mean, I think we're all used to, the kind of speed of and accessibility, even like on Amazon, customer service. That's what people see is standard now. But I think the absolute opportunity you have, when it's your own business is really that human and personalized touch. I just bought something from Etsy. I had a wonderful little message, that came when, it was a little bit delayed. I was like, oh, this is, that human connection is also still a big plus when you're starting out, that people really, really appreciate.
Yeah, and those, just to add to that, those touches I'm also using for my store. So basically I'm putting in a personalized insert, which is one of the new functionalities in Gelato. Just thank you for the order with my logo and my brand. Yep.
And just with an eye on the time, let's move to the final topic, but obviously one very close to my heart, marketing. Arguably, as our VP of acquisition, this is also your speciality. So maybe we can tag team on maybe the top tips.
Yes. So yes, it is, and it's a big interest of mine. I really like it, and there's many people in our team who like this topic. So first of all, I'd say be willing to spend some to grow. So assume you are not one of those stores who gets 100 orders overnight, because the algorithms in Etsy or Google go viral, and you're just having a field day. The second day you launch your store. Assume you're not one of those stores. Instead, assume that you need to actively drive traffic and relevant traffic to your store. And the key in the beginning is don't lose money on your ads, right? Be willing to accept low margins in the beginning as you learn. As long as you don't lose, the alternative will be to not get an order, right? So, and this is one key to I guess to grasp. And then stay very close to the ads day to day. So stay close to the numbers. Spend 5 minutes, every day at least, just looking at the numbers, understanding which products did they click on, which ads did they click on, etc., etc. And then another, I would say, important one for me is don't start with all channels at once. Like there's 10, 20 plus channels you can start doing. Select 1 or 2 that you're the most comfortable with. In my case, I started with Google Shopping, So Google Ads, the shopping ads, the image ads for my store. And I started an organic Instagram account to gain followers and to build a following base for my store. The good thing about Google Ads, which is happens to be a specialty of mine, is you're capturing existing demand in the market. So people are searching in Google. Some of them are searching to purchase something. Some of them are searching to purchase maybe your products. So the intent, there's a purchase intent for many Google searches, which means the demand is there. You just need to capture it in a cost-effective way. Getting started with Google Ads, the PMax campaigns have become over the last few months and quarters very competitive ads, and those PMax campaigns are built for people who don't usually do Google Ads, people who have never done it before. Easy to get started, but they can drive very high performance. I think that's pretty much it. Also, I would say you shouldn't give up too soon, right? Again, I come back to the point of it's a gradual process. Monitor your return on ad spend, i.e., what are you spending in marketing versus what are you getting back for it. But don't shut the door too quickly. Don't turn it off after 2 days. People spend time converting. I know in my Shopify store, I have multiple customers who come to my store 5 times without purchasing after they clicked on the ad. Then after 14 to 15 days, the chain comes on the phone and the order comes in. So be patient. Start with small budgets, still where you see it works, but know that it should be an always on thing. Have a daily budget that is always on, regardless of its size. Whether you have a lot of cash or just a little bit, have an always on budget so that you're constantly learning and gradually building understanding of the cost per click, which products are attracting the most clicks, etc., etc. And then finally, when it comes to marketing, I just want to push this one in. Final one is customer lifetime value, right? Keep in mind that it's much more costly to acquire a new customer than to retain your existing customers. So if there's one thing I'd recommend new store owners who you just want your stores, start already now with email marketing. Even if you only have 1 or 2 customers, start build an email campaign towards those 2 customers, right? As if you had 100 or 50 or 1,000. Because the emails and the automated flows of emails that you can build in Shopify are just fantastic. And the app is totally free. And your store will likely long-term make or break based on how well you sell to your existing customers. Other designs, other products, new launches, monthly drop, all of those things, super, super critical.
Thank you, Sven. And I know we could spend hours talking about this topic, and it's definitely worth doing a follow-up webinar on that. And just with an eye on the time, I just want to make sure we get to at least one, or if we have go a little bit over a couple of the customer questions. So the first one in the Q&A was, where did you get the pictures from for your wall art? Was it Shutterstock pictures via Gelato Gold, or did you have other sources?
Some of them from Shutterstock Gelato, some of them from Get Images, also rawpixel.com. Great site, not very expensive. Go there, check it out.
Thanks. And then we touched really briefly on tools, and I can also see there was a couple of comments in the chat on other tools to gather testimonials. But with in the last minute, could you just give us your top 5 list of the best apps that you found useful for your store?
Yeah, again, Looks for reviews, I think, is a no-brainer. I can recommend that. They go 4 out of 9 in reviews. I would just say that that's a no-brainer. For email, I just use the Shopify email app. It's very good. It's free. For chats, to again get customers to contact you, as many customers as possible. Open the floodgates and enable chats. The Shopify inbox app, free, and it has a good chat function. Definitely recommend that. If you want to do personalized products like the customer can personalize the designs on the t-shirt or on the wall art or on the mug, etc. Tea in Blue is a fantastic app for achieving that. Highly recommend that, even if I don't have that in my store. You have Link Up app, which enables you to sell from Instagram directly. So you have a Link Up link in your Instagram organic accounts, where customers can click on the link. So you can, when you build followers on Instagram, you can also give an avenue of them to buy without having to leave Instagram, but just click onto the Link Up link. And there's also apps. Lastly, there's also apps for calculating shipping costs when it comes to the basket. So customers coming to the basket, again, drop-off rate is usually quite high in the baskets. And one way of lowering the drop-off rate in the basket is to show them transparently what the shipping price will be. And there's apps that will pull the shipping price from the back end and show it in the baskets, because not many themes do that. So I'd also recommend that one.
Sven, I just saw in the chat, what was the name of the personalization app?
Tea in Blue. So I can put it in the chat here.
That would be awesome. Thank you. All right. Well, that already brings us to the end of our time together, or even over. Thank you everyone so much for joining us. We hope you found the session useful. I definitely, could spend another 2 hours with you, Sven, and then hopefully we'll actually get to a successful store on my end. I thought there was lots of questions, and thank you so much also for our customer success team for helping answer some of them. If you have any other questions, comments, feedback, you can find us at ask.webinars@gelato.com. So please feel free to send us a mail on topics that you want to go deeper on, or we could help you with. If you found this so fun that you want to listen to it again, like I said, we will distribute the recording afterwards. And we'll also have it on our resource center on gelato.com, which is a great place anyway if you're looking for more interesting tips and tricks. We'll be back on May 12th with our next webinar. So we hope to see you there. And until then, take care and happy creating.
Take care, everyone.